Hello, this is Danny Raymond, the voice behind Ray's Guide, and the combination of the most recent ISC on distribution centers and a post and dev reply on Spectrum has caused me to decide to once again talk about the subject of PvP, since, well, there are new things to say about it. The segment on distribution centers was concerning to many players because while they talked about bringing all sorts of players together, most of the time they spent talking on various forms of FPS combat missions and almost nothing about how distribution centers would function as, distribution centers. In particular, this sequence was alarming, with concerns that it wasn't just an exploding toilet, but actually represented an example of what we could expect. That having to carry a box through a combat zone is what was going to be expected. Because, not to belabor the obvious, this is not a weapon. You can't say get good because unless we're suddenly being able to throw a box with the range and lethality of a P6 LR sniper rifle, there's nothing particular to get good about. Similarly, if you say just higher protection, how much of the 6,000 credits from delivering a package should one have to spend on bringing their own crew of mercenaries along just for the ride? You'd lose money on every single trip. During the video, they described 4 quadrants of players: aggressive lawful, aggressive unlawful, unaggressive unlawful, and unaggressive lawful. Now, if you really are accepting that there are 4 categories of players, then each player should be able to arrive and complete what they came for with a reasonable expectation of not being forced into another quadrant. If not, then you've only accepted that there are 3 quadrants of players and invalidated the 4th. Now, this doesn't mean that there shouldn't be the opportunity for the unexpected, but it should be a case that when I arrive for a delivery or cargo operation and I hear, let's say, broadcast over the loudspeakers that there's an emergency, then certainly I should be able to put down my package, pick up my gun, switch to the new mission, and have some fun. But I also need to be able to not do that, to just finish the delivery or pickup and be gone without an unreasonable or intolerable risk. Now, honestly, I think that CIG is likely already smart enough to realize that. This, I think, is an example of where perhaps the ISC team should be more careful about using metaphors when they create images, because some people are just completely literal.
It's just a metaphor, dude.
His people are completely literal. Metaphors are gonna go over his head.
Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast. I would catch it.
If I could make one other comment about the distribution centers, among the ones that are active and still functioning, there should be a rotation as to which ones are, at any given time, hot. Because to have a business where the chief executive is constantly being assassinated, or there are constant battles with guards, it destroys credulity. Now, if there are some essentially abandoned ones taken over by lawless elements, well, a different story. Which brings me to the Spectrum post that has gotten a lot of attention about the rules about targeted interference. What I suspect was behind this is once again the Daymar rally was held, and once again it was heavily interfered with by folks who see their purpose as interfering with things for fun. This resulted in some bans for the worst offenders from CIG. The post on Spectrum was a demand for specific guidance from CIG about what did and did not qualify as a major event, and what does and does not qualify as planned interference with it. The reply from CIG was a restatement of policy from 4 years ago that can basically be summarized as, we'll know it when we see it, and just use common sense and you should be okay. Now, I can sympathize with the poster's desire for firm definitions for boundaries, but I also know that for those enjoying the creation of mischief, any such specific boundaries will mostly be used to see exactly how far those boundaries can be pushed, still claiming that you're staying within them, which is also essentially why CIG wants to keep their flexibility in interpretation. But there's something else. If CIG says that their real desire is to address this kind of problem with a robust reputation system, then, well, where is it? We know that the core of the reputation system has been around for years. Apparently, hopefully, some of this is on the roadmap for 3.23, so if this truly is how you see the solution happening, then make it so. But beyond that, 1. Emergent gameplay is not an excuse for bad core design. If stuff is happening beyond your control that you don't want to be happening, then get it under control. Number 2, emergent gameplay is not an excuse for lacking having the tools to help players cooperate more effectively. For example, every MMO I've ever played has had a system for some sort of secure trading between players. Star Citizen still does not. Saying that it's not realistic and it's better to have the emergent gameplay of people cheating and backing out of promises is not good, because it is more important to have people be willing to interact with each other. Number 3, emergent gameplay is not an excuse to be a jackass to other people. The statement, "I like treating people like shit in the game," is not sanitized in any way by including the phrase "in the game." You are treating people like shit, period. Number 4, good PvP event design in an MMO isn't done until you've planned for the yellow team. What is the yellow team? Well, the blue team works towards the primary success, and the red team works to counter the blue team, and the yellow team is there just to F everything up. I call them the yellow team because typically they have a fondness for cheese wins, and the yellow team is a tough thing to counter because their sole satisfaction is effing everything up. UEC and reputation and crime stat are nothing by comparison to the joy of just effing with everything and everyone. Number 5, the one thing that I recently advocated for that might help is better in-game comms. Discord has a lot of features, but one of them isn't knowing who is on which team in the game. So spying is easier when comms are happening using outside tools, like Discord. And spying is a big part of the yellow team. They need to know what is happening and where so that they know where to camp and what to come prepped for. Number 6, another thing that would help is if CIG came up with a structure for Org Wars events. Ones that can have several benefits, such as spreading out the action so it doesn't kill the frame rate at just one spot, and to make it impossible for the yellow team to interfere. Sure, it is fun for orgs to come up with their own scenarios for events, but unlike them, CIG has access to methods and tools that the players themselves don't. So what would that look like? Well, the first thing that happens, maybe in-game or on the website, the leaders of the org or orgs that want to be on the red side and the ones on the blue side that want to have a war define when it should happen and for how many hours it should last. And then at the start of the event, everyone on the red or blue orgs get the same set of 12 new quantum markers. 4 are at random ground locations, 4 are in random cave locations, and 4 are in asteroids. Members of the red and blue team orgs will not get crime stats while in the general area of the markers. Now, the people who are presumed to be the yellow team, well, without the 12 markers, they're kind of out of luck, right? They have nowhere to go. Anyway, scoring is, if both sides are equal numbers, 1 point for every minute that they are the closest team to 8 of the locations. If, as the number of players on both sides is or becomes asymmetrical, then the limits are adjusted. So, for example, 9 locations for the larger side and 7 for the smaller. So, think of the benefits of this. It spreads out the action, it is almost impossible to stream snipe, and there's a clear measure of which side won and which side lost. So, since I've been bouncing around several topics, I thought I would finish by touching upon what Jared said at the end of the Star Citizen Live on Friday about Sataball. Frankly, I think that they should make Sataball a map in Arena Commander. It would be simple to do, fun, a way to practice mastery of EVA, and beyond that, specifically because of the nostalgia factor that it represents for longtime backers.
This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again. Oh, people will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
Now for an update on our giveaways, we continue to make progress towards our goal of giving away the Zippy Zazzy Zaftig Zephyr, the Zeus 2 cargo, as well as our larger goal, the magnificent multi-role mining meta, the Arasta. Now, if it seems like progress is moving slowly or occasionally moving backwards on the member months, it is because I am counting the months of current members. So when someone fails to renew, the number can go backwards, but it would recover if they rejoin. My goal is to encourage retention and re-enrollment among longtime members. 1 entry per video, be a member for automatic entry on any video published while your membership is active, or comment including the secret word. And the secret word for this video is the color of the third team at in-game events. Fly safe, keep it real, and I'll see you in the verse. This is Danny Raymond for Ray's Guide.